Do you feel trapped within yourself? Do you feel like you can't say the things that you want to say? You can't do the things that you want to do? You cannot be who you want to be. As a result, you're living somebody else's life. It definitely isn't yours. You just can't choose the life that you want to live because you feel so painfully stuck within yourself. Ultimately, you are terrified that your life will come to an end with that truest version of yourself that's desperately trying to escape having died from within. It took me 40 years to understand what I'm about to share with you, and it's something that accelerated the change in my life like I could never have imagined. I spent much of my life feeling painfully trapped from within because I'd suppressed who I was and I was living somebody else's life. And I had this very specific dream that was about one day feeling this elusive sense of freedom that the rest of the world seemed to be feeling. And they seemed to be living the lives that they wanted to live, but I could not seem to get a hold of that. The dream was just to one day feel that sense of freedom, but not until I had fixed myself. 40 years on, thousands of hours and pounds of trying to fix myself, I've realized something that is so profound and it is so simple. I'm convinced that it will change your life in the way that it's changed mine. I spent years feeling suffocated within myself. I was caving in on myself from all of the shrinking and the molding to the world's expectations. And the symptoms of this shrinking and molding were inauthenticity, not being able to be myself for love nor money, feeling painfully self-conscious when I'm interacting with the world, constantly needing to adjust myself so that I can fit in, or if I'm not fitting in, constantly adjusting myself so that I can disappear. And the byproduct of this was envy, jealousy, feeling angry, feeling sad, feeling judgmental, just constantly judging everything outside of me. And ultimately it leading to depression, severe depression that led to suicidal thoughts. An author once said really beautifully that the devil lives in inauthenticity. Because when we're not being ourselves, we're doing something very unnatural, something that isn't human. And I really do believe that when we're living from this space, when we've shrunk into inauthenticity, this is where the devil can end up tempting us into doing things that aren't for us. They're not true or they're not natural for us. I had a realization that changed my life in an instant. I realized that I no longer needed to fix myself. I needed to reframe, and I needed to start taking up the space around me that was intended for me. And this is when life really supercharged. But let me explain. Each of us has a space around us that is intended for us. And it is wanting us to expand into it. And I really do believe that this is the purpose of our lives. So long as we're not doing that, we will never be able to shake that feeling of discomfort and dis-ease that lives within us. And this space is the most natural, the most human space that we can live in. It's normal. Even if you're feeling uncomfortable or anxious, this space is always inviting you to come and be more of yourself, to be authentic, to say the things that you want to say, to do the things that are important to you, to be the person that you want to be, to fully express yourself, to do the human things like asking for help, receiving. It almost takes us back to the most innocent, the most purest versions of ourselves before we took on other people's ideas of what life should be and what's realistic and what's actually available for us. The byproduct of this space is beautiful because here we feel a sense of resilience. We feel peace. We feel resourceful, like we have everything that we need to live the life that we want to live. we feel fulfillment and we finally have access to our intuition. I realized by shrinking and being inauthentic, I was removing my own humanity away from me. So rather than going on a massive, unending fixing journey, I reframed and I shifted. It was literally as simple as that. I reframed and I shifted. So I don't have to spend another 20 years trying to fix myself, maybe spend the rest of my life trying to fix myself. I reframed and I shifted. And what was I able to start doing the moment I had done that? I started taking up space. I started saying the things that I wanted to say. I started doing the things that were important to me. I started being more of what was authentic to me. And I started asking people for help. That was a massive one. That's such a human thing to do, but I was terrified of doing it because I thought, well, no, that's weakness. And what if I get rejected? What if I get humiliated? And the more that I did this, the more that I started to restore my own humanity. And there's something really special about when a human being restores their own humanity. It feels like you can go out and you can create anything. You're no longer trapped, you are free. And it doesn't mean that stuff doesn't come up and you feel uncomfortable and you don't necessarily know what to do next. All that stuff will come up. But like I said, in this space, resilience exists. Your intuition exists. You have the tools that you need in this space to be able to keep overcoming yourself. And so that you can live the life that you want to live. And it took me 40 years to come to this understanding. But I'm not mad, because at least I came to it. And I want to share it with you. So today I'm asking you to do the human thing, to do the natural thing, and to start taking up your space.